BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Coleman Gearhart. And in today's episode, I get to sit down with Kaeden Dendorfer. He's currently in the NCAA transfer portal for cross-country and track distance running. Kaeden, being a relentless young runner with big dreams, shares how he's navigating the chaos, pushing past setbacks, and creating a future where greatness is non-negotiable. From leading Valor Christian to its first ever cross-country championship, to training alongside elite athletes at Butler University, Kaeden reveals what it takes to stay disciplined, build resilience, and find clarity in the sport's relentless grind. In this episode, you'll discover how to leverage team culture for maximizing growth, the importance of self-awareness and overcoming mental barriers, and how to turn setbacks into setups for breakthrough moments. Kaeden's story is a blueprint for athletes craving authenticity, purpose, and the grit to stay the course. If you're in that transition season or hungry for something more, this episode is for you. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Coleman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, the one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Well, welcome to this special episode for the 2026 NCAA Transfer Portal, where I get to sit down today with Kaeden Dendorfer. He's a redshirt freshman distance runner who's already experienced what it takes to compete at the highest levels. He comes out of Valor Christian High School in Colorado. Kaeden was one of the top distance runners in the state and helped his team capture a state championship his sophomore year, with a highlight of a 14:52 5K and a 9:07 2-mile. He is one that was actively recruited and ultimately chose Butler University, which is a perennial top 15 Division I program. At Butler, he trained at an elite level, hitting peaks of 90 miles a week with some of the best runners in the country. Kaeden's entering the transfer portal with 4 full seasons of eligibility remaining, and he's here to share his story, the highs, the challenges, the lessons learned, and what he's looking for in his next program. Kaeden, I appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks. Yeah, glad to be here. It's been fun. We haven't done a podcast in a while, so it's good to be back.
100%. And it's amazing to watch how you've grown and aged as a runner. And, coming out of Valor Christian, which at the time was one of the top Colorado distance programs that has produced a lot of big names in the running community. That state championship that you won as a sophomore, what was that experience like? And I know that this is kind of a blast from the past, but ultimately it led for you to choose Butler, which also has had a lot of championship pedigree. What do you think are some of the similarities from the championship in high school to the competitiveness of college running?
I think like, oh man, I still to this day remember when we wrapped up our race, and like me and my teammates were all kind of like sitting in apprehension, waiting for our names to be announced that we had won. We were pretty certain that we had won it. So that off chance that once the points were tallied up, we weren't going to be the ones called up. But I just remember like a sense of awe and a lot of appreciation for me and my teammates and what we were able to pull off. If, for those who are unaware, that was the first, I guess, state championship for cross country that Valor has won in the history of the school. And so it was a really big deal to be a part of that. And there's been a lot of championship athletes that have come out of Valor, Anna Hall, Christian McCaffrey, and Cole Sprout, just to name a few. To be a part of something special and really set the tone for a season like that was really cool. That entire season, we ran with a chip on our shoulders. My freshman year, we lost state by 2 points,
Mm.
so that was really, really bittersweet as a team. I still remember the feeling the emotional low of that. And to come back and to be able to turn around my sophomore year and come together as a team and run with a chip on our shoulders and run with that fire, to turn things around and finish the best that we could, was really cool. And ultimately to race and give God the glory. We were really able to do that, and we worked our butts off that whole season, and we were able to really do something cool, to be a part of something that was bigger than myself. The group of guys that I was able to do it with was just amazing. I love each and every one of those guys, and still keep up to date with all of them now. That moment is by far will be one of the coolest moments of my life. Now, I think that there will be a lot of cool moments in my life, and I'm really ambitious, and I'm looking forward to what's in store. That will absolutely be one of my favorite memories, doing that with the team of guys we had.
So obviously, when you're seeking college and coaches are looking to pursue you, they're definitely keeping an eye on success, and times are very important in the sport that you're in. But being part of a team and doing something collectively is what a lot of these top programs are trying to do at the NCAA
Hmm.
level. So knowing what you were able to grasp in high school, once you got to Butler and you were thrown into one of the most competitive environments in the country. I mean, you're training alongside national and international talents, right? And I'd love for you to talk about the typical mileage training week
Oh
and
yeah.
what's it like a day in the life as a Division I college runner?
So Butler program. One of the big reasons why I chose it is one, we had a very, very strong team, and it was made very apparent when I went on my visit that this was a really like high emphasis on a team. And all the guys were really, really close to each other, and like it was really cool to be a part of that this year, and be a part of a team of guys that would just go to battle for each other every day, every week, every month. It was just a grind. We're a 10K program, so each and every one of us is expected to be able to run a 10K really efficiently. And so what that means is mostly all the guys on our team are very high mileage. We're pushing 90 to 100 miles a week. And as a freshman, I was able to see a lot of success with higher mileage than some of the other guys, more so 10K oriented. And that's what I've been wanting to do for a really long time now. Is run the longer I run, the better I tend to do. That was kind of the goal this year, was to really push for, getting ready for the 10K and just stacking those weeks. And it was absolutely a grind. I think every freshman in the NCAA, especially right now with how divisive it is, and can kind of relate. Your first year of college is really a really big transition, especially, I would say, just from personal experience, like my high school training does not compare whatsoever to what I'm doing now. And I think that's like kind of important. Each part of your running career, whether you started in middle school, it shouldn't look like what you're doing in high school, and what you're doing in high school shouldn't look like what you're doing in college. And it's really important to slowly build up to this peak of when you're going to reach your natural maturity as you get older. when I was talking to my coaches, it was like, yeah, like, can we get to, as a freshman, doing 90 miles a week and then coming back and being able to hit 100 a week and slam some really hard workouts. And being able to do that with the guys has been incredible. All of my teammates, I thought that like I worked hard in high school and like it just doesn't compare to what I'm doing now in college. Like I thought I was working hard in high school and it's just like a cakewalk compared to what I'm doing now. And but I think that's what I love about it is I'm really able to see the ways in which that like I'm able to grow in the moment and kind of rise to the level of competition. And I think that was a really big goal for me coming in my freshman year is being able to just stick and be really resilient and just know that like it was going to be a really uncomfortable year with a lot of these training shifts and the rigor went up a lot. And so just being able to now kind of be pretty much done with my freshman year. I'm wrapping up actually this week with finals. Being able to be done with this year and just looking back, I think I'm just proud of how I was able to manage the training and the rigor and I guess a lot of the challenges that came along the way and being able to do that with the group of guys that we had this year was so special. I love each and every one of my boys. They all are incredible people and they all are incredibly motivated. I don't think I've had a team yet with this amount of highly motivated people who go after greatness every day, just going after it. And being able to be a part of that this year was really, really cool. Again, being able to be a part of something bigger than myself and being able to contribute to that. Oftentimes, it wasn't necessarily since I was a freshman, I was leading workouts or anything, but it was more so kind of in a team manner, just being able to be with the boys and encourage them when they were going through something or show them a training technique that I learned in high school to stay off of injury or just be a light and a encourager to my teammates was a really big part of this year. Just being able to see what some of our guys have been able to pull off have just been incredible. We have a really deep team. We got a lot of guys who are done and this is gonna be a transition year for Butler, but I have no doubt that each and every one of those guys is gonna go on to do incredible things and keep kicking butt in the NCAA. I wouldn't be surprised if Butler was, around for a really long time, just knowing the group of guys that's there. But yeah, it was really cool to be a part of. So
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head of the ability to be around a group of guys that push you to levels that you never thought you were capable of. And I think as a runner, as a natural born athlete, you learn these phases of what you're capable of and you find that bar being pushed and stretched all the time. And being able to maintain the volume you did and coming in off of a really strong summer training before you got to college. I know that you redshirted, but during the fall cross country, you got to compete unattached in an 8K and actually ran pretty well, a
mhm.
25:08 for your first 8K. Can you walk us through what it was like to compete for your team, knowing you didn't place a score for the team, but you got to finally compete and race with some other college guys?
Oh yeah, it was really cool experience. We went up to Fort Wayne, Indiana. All the freshmen ended up going up to this race. It was kind of like the litmus test. Your first 8K. Let's go see what you guys can do. It was a really cool experience. We got to go up, just us four freshmen in my class, and go and run this 8K. That was by far like the hardest race I think I've ever run. Like looking back now and just with the training I've been able to do, it wasn't too bad. And I believe I can easily smoke that now. But just it was a really good race. It was 25:08, 8K. And I still remember being in that race, and it was a long race. I think that was another challenging aspect of coming to college is the jump from 5K to 8K. The 3K jump doesn't, I guess, on paper sound that much, but it's a really big jump in practice. I think that was a big aspect of my training that I prepared really well for. Like you said, over the summer, I had by far one of the best summers of training I've ever had. After coming back from a unfortunate stress injury, my senior track year, and not being able to run, I was really able to take a step back and really focus on what was important over the summer and really build a really strong level of training. It wasn't anything flashy. It wasn't anything incredibly special, but it was the necessity of training. It was really pure mileage, and I was able to set myself up well for this 8K coming in. It was funny. I remember being a little bit upset about my race because I totally thought I could have done absolutely better, and that's kind of how I am after a lot of my races. Is I always come off the line and I'm happy for a little bit, but I always have that voice in the back of my head that says like you can do better. We can push farther. We have bigger places to go. I think that's something that like has really pushed me this year. I'm a very highly motivated individual who's always looking to perform at my best and really chasing like that level of like that type of person. Like I'm always chasing that Kaeden Dendorfer, and like those qualities in Kaeden Dendorfer that could achieve this time or this goal that I set for myself. It's about being incredibly disciplined because as much as I am highly motivated, motivation ebbs and flows, and really it's discipline that kind of gets things done. I want to be an incredibly disciplined person, and I was really able to like I guess pull that off this year.
Yeah.
I was really able to, get down in the mud and really, start to crack down on being what truly disciplined person looks like. I think it's easier to get away with things in high school, and it absolutely shows in college. You get exposed a lot more. That's what my coach would say is, if you're not getting your sleep, if you're not eating well, if you're not doing all the right things, you will be exposed when you get to the start line. And so, I was so in high school, I was, I'd still had a really strong process, and that's why I was able to see as much success as I did. But I think that I was able to evolve the process and make it more efficient. And that's what like gets me really excited is finding ways to fix my process and make it stronger and make it better. Uh, it might be a second off my 8K or whatever it might be, but like whatever it is that like I can kind of tinker with the process, that's what gets me really excited about the training.
Yeah, it's interesting because you had an opportunity ultimately when you shared with your coach that you wanted to enter the transfer portal. That's a tough conversation for a lot of kids.
Indeed.
I don't know the actual stat, but it's thousands upon thousands of student athletes that are in this portal every year. And these conversations are hopefully happening between players and coaches. But for you, it was a little bit interesting because the coach actually asked you to stay on the roster and he wanted you to
Yes.
keep practicing with the team. He
Hmm.
described you as a positive and high impact teammate who raises the level of everyone around you. Eventually, there's going to be an end to it. What did it mean to you and what did it mean to the team for you to still be a part of this until your semester wraps up?
I think it was really it was such a blessing to be able to wrap up this year with the team and really cheer on the guys and what they were doing. They worked so hard to get to where they are now, and I'm really excited. We have a conference and regionals coming up, and I'm a very loud voice, and it's funny. My teammates always say that they're like I'm the one person they hear when they're racing. I'll be really excited to be yelling, wherever they're racing for them, and I think that. In my talks with my coach when I was getting recruited, he described me as a glue guy. And I being the glue guy is really important for me. Like above all else, being a part of a team and creating a team culture of greatness and excellence is really important to me. And I guess living through that as like an example. Like I want to be showing up to practice every day as positive as possible, setting the right tone for practice, because I think that creates a space where people are able to grow and succeed in the right ways. And I think that's really important for me is setting the tone and living by example of what it means to be a really good teammate. And I feel it's almost my responsibility to do that. It's my responsibility that I don't let down my teammates if I'm having a bad day and whatever. It's my responsibility to not show up to practice and let that bleed through, because a positive team atmosphere versus a negative team atmosphere are two completely different teams. And I would want my teammates to say about me that I was always a positive person, no matter where I was, whether I was injured or hurt or whatever I was going through, that I always showed up with positivity. And I would want to be that influence on others. That's why if I decided to stay, I'd be on the roster next year, is because I try day in and day out to live by example and be the best teammate I can be.
Being able to look back and realize that it's not just what you're doing on the track or cross country course, but it's what you're doing in the classroom as well. You're fortunate enough to arrive to Butler with an academic scholarship. And I know that sport and exercise science, kinesiology, PT school is something that's on the horizons for you. Can you speak to how's the GPA looking these days, and how do you balance academics and athletics at the same time?
Absolutely. As of I last checked, I think my GPA is around a 3.6. It's a little bit weird because we're entering the end of the semester right now with finals and everything. So those grades are getting in. I decided to choose kinesiology, sports science, as my degree because I'm really passionate about running, and I wanted to connect that with being able to help others. And I was but through high school, I went through a lot of unfortunate injuries. And it was such a blessing to be able to have an incredible PT who really cared about me and really helped me get back into shape. And those people are truly incredible, who are able to do that. And I wanted to be that type of person, and also connect it with the sport of running and to better my process as well. So it's been actually really cool being able to, be in college and be concentrated a kinesiology major. I've learned a lot about, like the process of how to stay healthy, and, like what that looks like, and I evolving in my process as a runner while being in this major, and they kind of work hand in hand. As I'm able to be a better kinesiology student and hopefully one day PT, because I'm a runner and I'm able to understand what people go through, and I'm able to understand the types of injuries they face and how to fix them. And also, I'm able to be a better runner because I understand the kinesiology, movement science aspect of running, and how to stay away from injury and hurt, and biomechanics. I've always been very academically charged, and I want to continue this wherever I go, and continue this fire for kinesiology and sports science. I think it's such an incredible study, just the science of movement and like how to move well, especially in this day and age when there's just so much information around. We live in the age of information where you can go on Chat GPT or Google or whatever, and you have the information instantly. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's good information. And so I think that, again, trying to better my process and make that process efficient, so I can get to the status of going from good to great, is important for me. And I'm pretty fired up about being a kinesiology major. I love it. It's been fun so far, and it's cool what I've been able to take from kinesiology and put into running, and vice versa.
You've talked about the training being some of the toughest training you've ever done in your life. When you think back on a practice where you had a tough training block or a workout or even a setback throughout this year, and you had to dig deep to figure out a way to finish that workout or respond in a positive way. I'm, how are you able to do that? What comes to mind? And how did that affect your team when you were doing that? How did that affect your team around you?
I think for me, like, going into the well is what we call it when, you get to those spaces. like you got kind of nothing left in the tank, and you're grinding, and it's a grind, and you're really working hard to get to the end. I think the workout or race that stands out to me is my 8K. I think I got to about like 7K, and it was an absolute grind to go to the finish. And as much as I don't want to admit it, there was this little voice in my head that was like just drop out now. This is the hardest thing you've ever done. But I think that for me, it's my why. Like I have a lot of whys to my process, and why I am the way I am, and why I go after this as much as I do. I think that for me, it's to be able to say that I'm 100% all in on this is a absolute gift and a blessing. To truly be all in on yourself is something that very few people actually achieve. And I want to be one of those people who goes all in on themselves. And my why is chasing my dreams, so that one day when my kids come to me with dreams of their own, I can tell them that they can go get their dreams. And that's my why, is like I want to go after this with everything I got, so that when my kids have dreams someday, I can tell them that they can go after it with all they got. I have a lot of parts to my why. I do this for my family because they've poured absolutely everything into me, and they've given me every I guess piece of the puzzle, and they've really made themselves available for me, and they've sacrificed infinitely for me to pursue my dream. To be able to give back to them is also a part of my why. And being able to walk into these workouts and accept that, like, yep, we're going into the well, and it's not going to be fun. And instead of seeing that as a threat, but seeing it as a challenge of like, there's actually a better version of me at the end of this workout to go and chase, is really important. Being able to just push myself and be like, yeah, there's a better version of myself at the end of this workout, but I got to really work my ass off to go and see him at the end of this workout.
Yep.
Is that's what pushes me. I grew up as a real self-conscious little kid who really struggled with that. I want to be able to go and like, I want to be a coach someday, and I want to be able to go and coach people who were like me, who were really self-conscious and had zero confidence in themselves. And I want to be able to tell them that, like, I was in their shoes, and I was able to go and achieve great things because I believed in myself and I had confidence in myself. At the end of the hard work and everything I sacrifice and I'll put into this is a better version of me, and the best version of me, and I'm constantly chasing this best version of myself. And I don't actually believe that ultimately, I don't think there is such a thing as the best version of myself, because I'm constantly evolving. It's a constant chase, and as much as it's elusive, I want to be working towards something. And to me, I love this so much. Like, that's what makes this fun for me, working towards, I guess, this person that I see down the line. That's what sets a fire in me to go do what I do. The 99% of people that don't do this, it looks like a sacrifice and it looks like a lot of hard work. But to me, I don't see this as a sacrifice. It's just what I love to do. And that's what fires me up, is being able to go after this with everything I got. So
You've bet on yourself. You put all your eggs into the basket of something that you're passionate about. And I want to ask you one more as we close, and that's really the future, right? You have big goals over these next few years and for your college running journey. Ultimately, Kaden, these coaches and programs that are looking in the portal for assets that can help contribute to their program or can help fill out a roster, can help them be more competitive. When they come across a name like Kaeden Dendorfer, and you think about your goals and why a college staff should invest in you, what comes to mind?
I think of glue guy immediately, as I'm a team guy. Big time. I'm a big time team guy. Like we were talking about earlier, I challenge myself and seek to build people up wherever I go. I can say that I wasn't by far the best guy on the Butler team, but I was still able to build people up. And just the way I carry myself And the way I show up is to me really important. And I think that's why it's worth investing in me is no matter what program I end up at, I can guarantee that I will make people better because I carry this air about me of wanting to succeed and seek greatness. And I really want to bring that out in other people. And at the end of the day, it's about becoming better people. You know, running at the end of the day, it's going to come to an end for all of us. Being able to draw out the best version of other people as well is also really important for me. You know, I think down the line, like I dream of being able to coach and have a team of my own someday, and to be able to motivate and bring the best out of people is what I want to do. And so if I can do that on a team, that for to me is really important. And also it's just I give everything 100%. I will give 100% wherever I go, and I'm committed. I've faced a lot of really challenging moments, and I've been able to move past them and move through them, and be a better person for it. I have a lot of grit, and I've persevered through a lot, and I'm sure I'm going to persevere through a lot more challenges. But my coach actually here, said it best is I have a lot of the intangibles, and that's really important. It's a blessing to be able to say that I have a lot of the intangibles and this fire to want to be one of the best. Even when on paper that might not be the case. It's this delusional sense of self-belief that my process is, I'm constantly tinkering with the process to make it the best possible. So that's what I'd say. I gave you a couple things, maybe not one, but yeah, there's a couple for you. So
A lot of people say that in order for you to be at your best, you have to make peace with what you're putting your time in. Do you believe that you've made peace with the sport of running?
man, that's an interesting one. You can interpret that differently from different perspectives. But no, for me, I used to really hold on to the steering wheel with running. I think I struggled with separating my goals from my expectations. That was a really big part of this year that I've been able to evolve and grow in and learn is really separating the two because they do need to be different. I think that yes, like goals are absolutely important, but being able to put in a body of work behind those goals is actually what makes those goals happen, but also separating that from expectations, differentiating what you expect of yourself versus what you strive for and what you dream of and what your goals are. I've learned to make peace with the sport of running. There is this sense of illusion of control that you have is I can't control a lot of these things, but really honing on what I can control for me is important and how I use that to my advantage is what makes the difference. I would say absolutely I've made a peace with the sport of running. If this version of me was talking to a freshman Kaeden or in high school, he'd be going bananas over not hitting these times or not hitting these goals and gripping the steering wheel with two hands is never healthy. A good metaphor for you is like success is like a fish. It's like a super slippery fish, and the more you grip it and the more you try and grip, the more it slips through your hands. Another metaphor for you is like success is like a target. If you're always aiming at the targets, you're never actually going to hit the target. Success is a byproduct of the type of person that you are, for those character traits of what makes people successful. Absolutely, I've made my peace with running, but there's this always this little voice in me that is pushing me and wants more of myself and knows that I have yet to give all of myself in this, and that I always believe that I can work harder than I am right now, and I hope that I can say that when I'm 80. I hope to say that I haven't worked hard until I've hit 80 years old. I'm always striving for more and looking for more and believing constantly that I can better myself and be better.
Well, Kaeden Dendorfer, appreciate you being real. Questions are sometimes challenging to answer, but the most important thing you can do as a athlete in the portal is to answer the question, and you bring a lot of teamwork. You bring a lot of character. You bring a lot of work ethic and upside into any program that's going to be part of your next chapter. I wish you nothing but the best in the portal, and thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Good to see you. Take care.